Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Asad Hussain, and I am a member on the IBNG committee under the Aga Khan Economic Planning Board for the UAE and the region. On behalf of the chairman and the IBNG committee, I would like to welcome you all today and thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to join us during this critical time. We encourage everyone to take part in as many webinars in this series as possible. We hope that they will help you navigate the current economic environment. We would like to also inform you that there's a lot of information out there that does keep changing. Therefore, the opinions and views expressed by our panelists are their personal views and are intended to be shared with members of the Ismaili community. Current information is on the basis of present knowledge. Today's webinar is part 2 in the e-commerce series and will focus on e-commerce potential and new emerging trends. As the UAE region and global governments enforce public health measures such as lockdowns to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 outbreak, consumers have shifted their buying behaviors and habits to online consumption. This will have a profound impact on traditional brick and mortar models during the COVID-19 and beyond. During this webinar, strategists in digital customer experience, mobile, and innovation will share insights into the trends in GCC and MENA region, the transition from an offline business model to online, and also discuss best practices for digital performance measure management and optimization. The agenda for today's webinar will be an introduction of the panelists followed by their presentations. Once the presentations are over, there will be a Q&A session. We urge every one of you to use the QA button on the screen to type and send in your questions. We will try our best to answer as many questions as possible, time and relevance permitting. Thank you all once again for joining today. I would now like to introduce our 2 panelists for today. Our first panelist is Afroze. Afroze Ali is a digital customer experience and innovation strategist with over 10 years of experience. She has played key roles in the development of cross-channel e-commerce strategies for numerous B2C and B2B multinational corporations across multiple industries. A highlight of Afroze's experience includes serving as a customer innovation network leader at Accenture, where she has worked with over 100 clients, including Amazon, Microsoft, Kellogg's, and PepsiCo. Afroze has a master's degree in integrated marketing and communications from Northwestern University and a bachelor's degree in political science. We are so grateful that Afroze is able to join us all the way from Chicago. Next, I would like to introduce Naheed Harji. Naheed is currently the head of growth, mobile, and connectivity partnerships at Facebook. Naheed manages the Eastern and South African region. Currently based in Nairobi, Naheed is passionate about increasing internet adoption in undeserved regions and believes in the power of the internet to connect both people and businesses. Prior to Facebook, Naheed was a consultant for several startups. Naheed has also worked as a product manager at Zynga in San Francisco, as well as a Microsoft mobile innovation team and the Canadian Security Intelligence. Naheed graduated from the University of Waterloo with a degree in systems design and engineering. Thank you, Naheed and Afroze. Now over to you.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for logging in today. We'll jump right in here. So we're really excited for a lot of the things that we're going to share with you today. And I think to Asad's point, a lot of this, there is a lot of information out there, so it's really difficult to put it all into one webinar. So what we've tried to tease out some points that we think will be important, at least to get the thoughts flowing and start thinking about what are some things that you can start working on right away. So the topics we will cover today will be digital and e-commerce trends, and we will touch upon a few COVID-related trends as well. It is a difficult topic to cover at this point because we are actually currently going through it. So a lot of the studies will continuously be updated over the next few months. We also have some suggestions or ideas on how to be strategic during these times. These are some things that many companies are trying to do right now, and these are some things that we think will be helpful to you and your businesses. We also have some case studies that we'll review towards the end of the presentation, and a checklist. So some things you can consider for your own business, just think about, to think about. And then a webinar roadmap. So we have some potential topics that we might be able to bring to you in the future, and we'd love to show you what we were thinking so far. And then I think later on we will be capturing some more thoughts from you after this webinar, so that you can continue to gain valuable information from these webinars. So with that, I wanted to jump right in here. So I know one of the things that a lot of people wonder when they are thinking about expanding their digital capabilities is, is there a market for it? And just based on some research that was done by Bain & Company, which is a large global consulting firm, and Google, they partnered together to do some research in the region. And what they discovered back in 2017 is that the market, the e-commerce market, is worth about $8.3 billion in the Middle East, North Africa region. And if we were to look at how it's broken down, we'll see here that Saudi Arabia is one of the larger markets, as is the UAE. They're some of the top two markets. And what we do see is that the larger e-commerce markets typically set some of the trends for the rest of the region. So, so there are some additional trends that we'll point out later on in this presentation, where we're looking at Saudi Arabia and looking at some of the things that things that are happening there, especially around COVID. The market is set to grow at about 25%, which is very significant compared to what the global average is for e-commerce growth, which is about 16%. So the potential in this region is tremendous. What does that mean for you? Well, I know a lot of people still think, and this is the case in many markets. If I invest in digital, or if I invest in e-commerce, are my customers going to buy? And the answer to that really lies in what are some of the basic foundations needed for a good e-commerce marketplace, a full-on marketplace. And what we can actually see, based on some research around connectivity and smartphone usage, is that the UAE and Saudi Arabia, you can actually compare. It's almost on par or exceeding some of the other markets that do have a very high e-commerce market. So what we can say is, lots of people have internet access. They spend more than 6 hours a day on online, which is pretty significant. More than 60% have smartphones, which is actually even bigger than China, which is surprising. I feel like everybody in China should have a cell phone. And social media penetration, especially in the UAE, it's almost at 100%, which is the highest across any market. At least that's shown in these figures here. So what that really means is that there is a foundation. There is a digital foundation for being able to sell online in the marketplace, and that is pretty gradual. In the mid-2000s, smartphones, social media, and faster internet speeds created what's called the digital consumer phase. So if you remember that during that time, everyone was starting to get cell phones in the area and starting to get more active on social media. Even kids are using internet for homework, which was not the case all the time before this point in time. And then in 2010, there was this shift towards businesses starting to do more digital, creating more digital content and digital media. That could be across B2C or B2B, but the landscape was changing in how businesses were engaging with their customers. And then lastly, in 2017, those of you who might remember Amazon buying out Souk and the beginning of Noon, this marked the beginning of a new digital phase in the region, which is called the e-commerce phase, for lack of a better word. So this really does set the stage for, if you were to invest in digital capabilities or e-commerce capabilities, there is a market for it. There's definitely a market for it. And there will be customers out there that will browse and shop online. A lot of times when we don't browse and shop online, we assume that our customers aren't doing it either. But the reality is that our customers might be very different from how we might operate. So those are just some things to consider. Additionally, in this market, there are shorter distances to cover. Logistics and delivery has is better developed than in some other countries. So there are a lot of things already in the infrastructure that are there to support an e-commerce type of an initiative. So some of the other things that people say are, well, what if the transactions, what if our customers are not buying online? Well, what we discovered was that even if they aren't buying online, customers who use the internet to do discovery or do research, if that's how they're learning about your product, and if they're able to do research online and they're doing it from your brand, they're more likely to spend more money on with your brand, whether it's online or offline. And here we're comparing it with the UK, which the UK has a very significant e-commerce market. And despite the fact that a lot of folks do transact online, in the UK, the value of the transaction is still much higher in Saudi Arabia and Egypt, which simply means that your target markets or your target customers, if they get the right information online before they make a purchase, they will probably end up spending a little bit more. At least that's what this is indicating. So COVID, and with COVID, there are a lot of different areas that we can look at, but for this presentation, we decided to take a look at groceries, especially within B2C, the B2C segment, which is business to consumer. And before COVID, if we were to look at consumers in Saudi Arabia, about 6% purchased grocery items online before the COVID outbreak. After COVID, 55% of consumers in Saudi Arabia purchased grocery items. So this is specifically from April 2020, fairly recently. So the shift is happening, and where if it was slow before, COVID has made it even grow even faster. And some of the things that we learned were some top online grocery items in Saudi Arabia after COVID, or once COVID started, were dairy products, fruits and vegetables, and bread. And it's no surprise that these three categories unite all of humanity. These are the same things that the U.S. Marketplace and many other marketplaces, were having shortages. And there were some restaurants, actually. There was one restaurant in the United States that tried to address this in a way that other restaurants hadn't thought of yet. Panera Bread, or it's known as a St. Louis Bread Company in some places. They're a cafe-style restaurant, mostly popular for breakfast and lunch, usually for people who work in offices. They could pick up their lunch or have lunch meetings, business meetings at the cafes, or parents would bring their kids after school for after-school snack or a treat. They had a bakery. They have a bakery on site, and they make tons of cookies and cakes and lunch items as well. They decided to actually start simply focusing on selling some of their items as grocery items. They had access to things in bulk. They had access to produce, dairy, bread, and bagels. They baked their bread and bagels on site. And they had access to the restaurant wholesalers for the produce and their dairy. So they actually started selling groceries. And they would deliver groceries within a certain radius around their restaurant, and they definitely were trying to address the need in the marketplace at that point in time. In addition to that, I had never seen this before, and I actually I frequented this restaurant many times. They started offering a family feast package. So at a particular price point, family could be fed with an entire meal. Which is something that Panera had never done before, but that's what the market was needing at that point in time. So just an example of how a company did address, or how it met a market need using digital. So people could place their grocery orders online and have them delivered. So within the B2B space, there are definitely some impacts to the B2B space, many impacts to the B2B space. We haven't included specifically any details on this in this presentation, but I don't think it's a surprise that many more employees are working from home. There are a lot more, the software companies are definitely doing their jobs, including Zoom, to support working from home. And And what that's done is that while work can keep going, there are some areas where businesses relied on meeting their customers or showing their customers their products in showrooms or trade shows or conventions has gone away. So back between March 16th and March 21st, about 80% of all live B2B events were canceled. At least they were, people were considering canceling things after that, but 80% had been canceled between March 16th and March 21st. 60 days after that, B2B marketers anticipated canceling all events. And as we know now, there are no events happening anywhere, any types of conferences or trade shows. However, what does that mean from looking at your business, looking at e-commerce, looking at digital? 39% of the B2B marketers surveyed in the study said that they would be reallocating those funds that they would be spending on those trade shows to digital marketing activities. And what would some of those activities look like? Content creation, online events such as webinars, and search marketing. So these are some of the things that they were thinking about reallocating their funds to. So now, from what we've seen right now, B2B buyers, they are a little bit in learning mode. They are in learning mode. They are consuming information. They're consuming content. In a lot of cases, if it is a high touch business, they do want to know what your business is doing to meet the current standards of safety and things like that. So if you are going to focus on anything right now, and if you are creating content, one of the things that we've been seeing across the board are airlines. Airlines are over communicating. A large part of one of their most profitable customer segments are business travelers. And so they do want to convince business travelers that it's okay to travel again. So a piece of communication like this communicates the new way that your business is addressing safety issues, and it reassures your customer that you're still operating, and it helps reestablish that trust to say, I can get back on the plane, and my airline is my partner in my safety, and they'll do everything they can to make sure I'm safe. This type of communication can be sent across all different kinds of mediums. So email, social media, even people can text each other things like this if they have that type of a relationship with their customers. Additionally, if there is something that your company is doing to address COVID-related market needs, communicate that. Dyson creates a lot of different types of things. They do it on the B2C side. They also manufacture on the more industrial side. And they created a video about how they're creating ventilators to fight COVID-19. First things first, marketing rules, it is great PR. And then secondly, I can't imagine that Dyson's other categories did not benefit from people learning about the ventilators. So it is one of those things, COVID is the buzzword. And if you are doing something related to COVID, definitely create content and put it out there, because it will bring benefits to the rest of your categories that you are selling. So this is what your industry and your competitors are doing to survive. You should assume that these are the types of activities that they will try to do if they're not already doing, or they are already doing and benefiting from it and are surviving. And so we wanted to bring up a few thoughts, on how to be strategic during these times. Some of these we will cover during this presentation. Other items are simple best practices of what to do during crisis mode, which is where we are at right now. Certainly secure your revenue streams. If you do have customers that have subscription services or are buying regularly from you, if you have to find a digital way to continue serving them, and by that I mean if they were meeting you at your office to buy something from you, and if they still want to buy from you but can't come to your office anymore, find a way to accept payment digitally, or find another way to address their needs. Redefine how you deliver value to your customers. Sometimes customers aren't going to buy something right now if their businesses are not also operating. However, if you can provide valuable information to them on perhaps how to maintain their equipment, or how to upgrade their software on their equipment, or something of that nature, those types of things customers remember. So when things do start picking up a little bit again, they will remember that you were there for them. Also, digital is a great way to continue doing that. E-commerce is, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, but e-commerce is more than just transacting online. It's actually providing a value to your customers. Protect your margins, you know, wherever possible. A lot of in-person things are not happening. So wherever you can protect your margins, wherever you can cut your costs on that in-person business model, that can be reduced slightly, at least until we know what is going to happen next. And then embrace technology partners and platforms to sell. Why do we say partners and platforms and not just platforms? Before we think about spending any money on building your own platform, one thing that we definitely will say is think about the companies that already exist that have invested in digital capabilities that can help support your e-commerce. So that's the likes of Amazon or local delivery services if you're a restaurant. There are a lot of companies that exist already that can help support your business, because it's not enough just to create a platform without marketing. If you cannot get traffic to your platforms, you might as well just call it your parking lot, because there's if nobody's coming there, the platform is not going to create any value for you or your business. And then optimize your cost to do business. You know, I know even in the U.S. market, there has been a big focus on print advertising. You know, it still happens. We still get things in the mail. There's still newspapers that are printed. However, nobody is really looking at printed items right now as much as they were in the past. So how can you use those advertising dollars maybe on the digital side? And then lastly, take care of your employees and help them upskill. I know this seems a little bit obvious, but what we mean by upskilling here is if you have anybody on your staff who, for example, is already very savvy on social media, or they're interested in learning about how to manage an e-commerce business or create an e-commerce business, leverage their desire to learn with them and have a partner to do it with you. They probably, if they've been working with you for a while, also know your business pretty well. So they might be a really great resource right under your nose, somebody who can learn and also help support your digital and e-commerce business if you decide to go down that route. So with that, I will hand it over to Naheed. We're just gonna focus on a few of these items here, but I'm gonna hand it over to Naheed, who's gonna go into a little bit more detail.
Hi, everyone. My name is Naheed. Great to be with you here today. So as Afroze mentioned, I'll be touching a little bit more on the three various highlighted topics and see how we can think more about being strategic, but also tactical to move businesses that might be traditionally offline and see how we can explore moving these types of businesses online. The first one is really about redefining how you deliver value to your customers. So I think the world is changing, businesses are changing. How can we really redefine what value means? And especially in trying to deliver value, I think many of you might need to start to reevaluate what are your customers. And so I want to share a framework that is used by many marketers, many product people, many e-commerce folks to help them really understand who are their customers. And so when you're trying to move your business, I would say from offline to online, it's important to restart and rethink who your customer might be. You're seeing many kind of B2B kind of businesses who are now moving direct to customer, bypassing retail channels, bypassing malls, and selling their goods directly from manufacturer straight to customer. And so as you start to re-evolve your business and start to think about what your end customer might look like, one framework that's often used is this idea of the persona. And so I've created two personas here to give you a sense of what it means to create a persona. The first persona is a typical B2C persona. So somebody named Fatima, she's aged 32 to 39. She earns 300,000 dirhams a year, works 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So she's comes back from work pretty late. She's interested in browsing for clothes online. She does a lot of research before buying, and always looks for kind of a great deal. I think it's important to think about this persona and make one for your business. What does a typical or ideal customer look like? Another kind of persona, maybe on the B2B side, an example is somebody named Hassan. So Hassan, in this example, he operates a small business in Dubai. He has the challenge of not being able to have time to do his own accounting. He prefers to search online for accounting firms. And the most important thing he values is reputation. So reviews are really important to Hassan. Maybe he doesn't care about price, but he cares about relationship management, reviews, and reputation. So I would encourage you to think in this new world. And if you start thinking about your digital experience or your e-commerce experience or your online selling journey for your customer, who is your customer? And it might seem silly to like write this down, to create personas and profiles, but I think it really helps frame what you're trying to and who you're trying to target. And if you have a big team, a big staff kind of set of employees, I see many companies kind of create these personas, put them up on the wall, share them broadly, and even talk about these personas within meetings. So, hey, what would Fatima want? Or what would Hassan want from us? And so create various types of personas. The value persona, so the customer who likes value, the customer who likes luxury and convenience. Create 3 or 4 personas for your business, for example, who value different types of key characteristics and how your business can deliver value to each of them. And so once you kind of get a sense of who is your customer, what they value, it's important to next start to think about customer objectives. So what is Fatima's objective when it comes to an online experience? When she comes to your website, what does Fatima want to do? When Hassan does a Google search and finds your website, what does Hassan want to do on your website? And so it's important to think about that end state. When I talk about objectives, it's what is that end state, that last step that Hassan or Fatima will do on your digital platform. And so to give you some kind of examples for a B2C business, for example, if you're looking at new customers, the objective for a new customer and for you is to drive customer acquisition. So Fatima's end objective is to buy product X online. Her end objective is to order food from your online restaurant. And maybe if Fatima is kind of an existing customer, what are some key objectives that she might want to do on your e-commerce platform? She might want to place a repeat order. She might want to do some post-purchase customer service. She might want to refer other customers. And so start to think about what are 1 or 2 objectives maximum that you would want to focus on. And don't kind of focus on too many. I think when businesses try to focus on too many, they don't do anything really well. And so if you're starting to move your offline business to online, choose 1, choose 2, and focus on it completely and do it really well. On the B2B side, let's start thinking about what a new customer might want to do. They might come to your website and they might want to request a quote for a product or service. They might want to view your wholesale catalog and put in a quote for some items on your wholesale catalog. They might just want to input their email and phone number for a follow-up consultation. Maybe if you're an accountant or you're a consultant, the goal might just be for capturing a lead. And for an existing customer on the B2B side, you might want to help that customer with ongoing support, maybe for a service, or help them with billing, invoice management, and start to digitize that. You might want to digitize relationship management. And so kind of these are various objectives. Again, it's very generic, but start to think about your business, where you fall, and choose 1 or 2 and focus on that for several months. Just focus on 1 or 2. And that should help you kind of figure out and really optimize and grow the use case or those 1 or 2 objectives. I think when you start to think about the objective, then you can start to figure out how to drive customers down that funnel and down to achieve that objective. I think this is one area that people who start to get interested in e-commerce often don't fully look at or don't fully understand. And so this is the concept of the customer funnel. It's I would say, one of the most important concepts within e-commerce. And it's really about how to get a customer from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel. And so really this is what you see, a customer journey. At the top of the funnel, what you see is steps like awareness. This is where your customer becomes aware of your business, becomes aware of the product offering. And at the bottom of the funnel is really when that customer does that purchase action. And you see, of course, at the top of the funnel is very wide. You're casting a wide net. Many people might be aware of your business, but at the bottom, very few people are actually buying from your business. And so it's important to drive as many customers from the top all the way down to the bottom and to optimize the shape of this funnel. And so I would encourage you to start thinking about how to drive customers from the top to the bottom. And so if we start to think maybe on the B2C side, sorry, what do those steps actually look like? So awareness, again, customers or potential customers start to hear about your business. Maybe they saw an advertisement. Maybe they saw a YouTube video. Maybe they read about your business on a press or a blog. They got initial high-level awareness that this business exists. And so maybe they click on that ad or they click on a link to your website from another blog and they start to get further interested. This is kind of the second step. You're building interest about your business. They're learning about your products. They're not in any state of mind to buy. They're just kind of browsing and learning. And then the next step in the funnel is really about consideration, where you have there is interest that I need a product to solve a personal need or a business need. And this is where I start to read reviews. I start to shop around, do some price comparison, compare your business against some competitors, and start to really consider if this is something for me. The next step is the intent step, where you're really getting the first signal from the customer that this customer is done researching, they're done discovering, and there might be an intent to buy here. And so in kind of the B2C side, the e-commerce side, this is where the customer actually adds the product to a cart, for example, a shopping cart. There's an intent there. There's an intention to potentially buy. And so the next phase is kind of the evaluation. This is where the customer might look at their shopping cart. They might do any final checks, ask their wife, ask their kids, hey, should we actually buy this? I'm kind of reevaluating my decision, and then finally do the purchase. And so that's where kind of the credit card gets entered and the purchase is done. I would say the most important thing here again is the last step. If a customer falls off in any of the previous steps, basically you're in second place. You only win when a customer hits the bottom. Everything else is kind of your business didn't meet their needs. And so you need to really focus on how to get customers from the top all the way to the bottom. And so I think a lot of partners and platforms have really started to kind of build businesses around this funnel, this customer funnel, this marketing funnel, to help small businesses really drive customers from the top to the bottom. And so there's various tools and technology platforms that exist to help you think through this funnel and optimize each step of this funnel. And so if we talk about kind of that first step, awareness, you can think about, as a B2C business, you can think about viral content, for example. How do I get the most number of customers aware of my product and business? So creating viral videos is a great way that big companies have started to embrace. Social media advertising, again, when you're browsing your Facebook or your Instagram news feed and you see an advertisement, that's kind of getting customers aware of your brand, getting high reach, and making customers aware that you exist. Another way is influencers, which is becoming more popular these days, especially for beauty products. Getting celebrities or influencers on Instagram and Facebook to promote your products so that their followers are aware of them. And of course, there's more traditional ways like press, podcasts, blogs, and really creating more internet content around your product offering in your company. Continuing on the left side, you do see kind of that middle layer of the funnel. And so a lot of technology platforms and partners have existed there as well. Once a customer is aware of your product or your business, how do you get them to kind of move further down the funnel? And so imagine a customer who does a Google search about your company name. You want to make sure that your business is at the top of the Google search algorithm, because when they want to know more, when they are doing that consideration phase or that additional fact finding, you want your link to be at the top of Google. And so that's where search engine optimization comes in. You want to employ things like a live chat so that when they come to your website and they want to know more, when they're doing this consideration phase, they can chat with somebody and ask more questions. And then kind of going down to the bottom of the funnel, it's really that purchase behavior where they're either completing an actual purchase, either on a Shopify website, on Uber Eats, on Deliveroo, on Souk, on Noon, etc. And so while some of these kind of partners and platforms are at the bottom, like Uber Eats, for example, could be helping throughout the entire phase of the funnel, not just right at the bottom. Some people open Uber Eats and just search pizza. And so they're not searching up a particular restaurant, but they're searching up pizza. And so what that means is your restaurant needs to show up in the top 4 or 5 listings for pizza in order for a customer to become aware of it, to compare it to the other two or three pizza stores, and to actually drive down the purchase. On the B2B side, I think we can also talk about other platforms and partners that can help in the funnel. I think looking at the top of the funnel, there's on B2B, there's traditional word of mouth, trade shows, but more online medium like LinkedIn, online referrals, maybe a business found you on abra.com. And in the middle layer, again, very similar types of techniques, making sure that you have live chat on your websites, making sure that you're using things like CRM, customer relationship management, where you are tracking your leads, tracking any conversations or phone calls with them so that you can follow up with them in 2 weeks if they haven't bought something, where you're able to track their preferences. Again, in that middle layer where a customer is doing a lot of consideration and comparison, making sure you have online testimonials, case studies on your website of successful clients really will help drive customers down that funnel to that last step. And in that last step, potentially in the B2B side, using tools like DocuSign for contract signatures or Smart Invoice in order to bill customers and capture that value and that money from them. So I think there's tons of kind of technology platforms here. I've tried to outline a few of them, but it's important to understand that there are various partners that are helping you build this funnel at each stage of it. And so I would say take advantage of these partners because they are kind of big businesses that have focused specifically on helping small businesses optimize and drive customers to their objective. The next one I would kind of talk about is optimizing your cost to do business. I think out of Afroze's kind of key strategies, it's important to figure out how you can optimize your business using digital. And so it's important to think about optimizing every part of this customer funnel. I think one thing that's not well understood, of course, is if you have 1,000 people that you've marketed to at the top, but there's drop off at every phase in the funnel, you're only going to hit maybe 30 people who actually purchase. And so it's important to think about more in equals more out. But also, when you think about more in equals more out, it's important to kind of use measurement and optimization using data. think about the full funnel. If you were to do a massive advertising campaign, but the middle of your funnel, maybe you had 2-star reviews, 3-star reviews on your website, or on Amazon or on Noon, customers will probably not buy. And the middle of that funnel falls apart. And so I would think about the full kind of journey of that customer so that you can maximize the number of customers at the bottom and make sure every stage of that funnel is optimized. Measure everything. I think there's tons of tools that have come out that help you measure every aspect of your website. Things like Google Analytics really help you measure each stage of the funnel. Things like Hotjar help you actually record. You can actually see people who come to your website, see how they're clicking, where they go, and see at what point they decide to go to another website and abandon your website. Things like Optimizely, they help you launch 2 versions of a website so that you can have version A and version B. And when a customer goes to visit your brand, you can actually, half the customers will get version A and half the customers would get version B. And you can see which version of your website might kind of perform better. And so it's important to measure each of these steps. I think that's one of the key advantages of an online business versus an offline business, where you're able to understand the actual drop-off percentages and conversions to the bottom. And if the middle of your funnel is quite weak and there's a massive drop-off, you'll be able to optimize there and improve that middle of the funnel. I would say, like, if you think about big brands and how they think about this funnel, I know it might seem like a very easy concept, but huge technology companies, Facebook, Amazon, Google, they design their features based off this funnel. And so to give you some examples, there's about, I think, 6 billion Google searches that happen per day. And so that's a lot of people at the top of the funnel. But it's important that they make sure people click on their ads at the bottom. And so what Google has done is they've spent months optimizing the color of the blue. I think if you do a Google search, you'll see that each link is blue. They've spent months optimizing what color that link should look like, whether it should be a slight blue, a slight other tinge of blue. And so what they figured out is that by just changing this tint of blue, more people are likely to click on Google advertisements. And so they are, in a way, optimizing their own funnel by changing even small things like the color blue that makes up their link and their homepage. Other websites, let's think about Amazon. Amazon patented one-click buy. I think that patent expired in 2017, if I'm not wrong, but they patented this concept of one-click buy. And they know that for every click a customer does on Amazon's website equals a drop off in the funnel, and a customer might not purchase at the end. And so they patented a button, it's their yellow button, and it's one-click buy. Customer can just press that and it's an automatic buy. And so what they have tried to do again is cut out massive chunks of the funnel and cut out any middle steps to get customers to the bottom. If you think about another company like Booking.com, you know, when I go to Booking.com, I always get super stressed out because I see it says 5 other people are looking at this hotel room right now. This hotel room is 50% off. 8 other people just booked this hotel yesterday. If you don't book now, prices will go up in the next 2 days. And so I always get super stressed that I need to buy this hotel room right now, otherwise I'm gonna lose it. And so of course, if you think about their business, hotel rooms, you can go to Priceline, you can go to Expedia, but when I go to Booking.com, I feel like I need to book this room now. And so what they've done really is they've optimized this funnel. They're creating a sense of urgency that you need to drive, that the customer needs to purchase ASAP or the deal is off. And so that's how kind of examples of how big companies are driving customers from the top to the bottom. But who else is doing it well, I would ask? Here's a UAE company, Minamalist, that essentially sells online watches. If I think about what they do, they're an online first company. They don't have any store presence. They are e-commerce first. And so they decided to turn how people buy watches on its head. Customers don't need to come in and kind of sit in a jewelry shop or in a watch shop and decide what they want to buy. Their advertisements show kind of 360-degree photos of the watch. And so they're very detailed, beautiful photography. And so if we think about what they did well, did they redefine how they deliver value to their customers? Yes, they're selling to the UAE and the GCC. If you look at the watch dial, uses Arabic numbers. So they've kind of understood their persona is potentially the Muslim or GCC audience. And so they've adapted their products for that. Have they used online technology platforms? Yes, they're using Shopify to host their website. And are they optimizing their cost to do business? Of course, they don't have bricks and mortar. They're online only, and you get your delivery within 1 to 3 days, anywhere in the UAE. If we think about kind of bigger brands on the B2B side, companies like Heinz, Lindt, Monte, who you might traditionally consider B2B brands. I mean, you go to Carrefour, you go to Spinneys, and that's where you buy your Lindt. That's where you buy your Heinz ketchup. That's where you buy your Del Monte. But what they've done really is pivoted. Lindt is a 175-year-old business. During COVID, they launched a website on Shopify within 5 days because Easter was their number 2 business period. After Christmas, it was Easter because they sell Easter bunny eggs, Easter chocolates. And so they realized that in COVID, they would not be able to sell through some primary channels. And so within 5 days, again, they launched a Shopify website and they offered curbside delivery as well as delivery over post. And so these are big B2B brands that are becoming B2C. Heinz is another one. Who would think that you would buy ketchup from Heinz.com? And so in the UK, they have pivoted to sell kind of baked beans, ketchup and sauces and some of their baby products online. And so they're bypassing the middle layer. They're cutting their costs and going direct to customer without the middleman. Another one, Del Monte. This is in Dubai. You'll see that they continue to deliver during Eid holidays, and you can buy your pineapples and bananas directly from Del Monte. And so again, they're cutting out the middleman, going direct to consumer and offering online delivery. So how would I evaluate how they've done against those key strategies? Yeah, definitely redefined how they deliver value. The customers don't want to go out. They don't want to go to the grocery store. They want their vegetables delivered to their house. Again, online platforms, and they're cutting out the middleman. So I think it's important that if you are a traditional B2B business, think about how you can cut out middlemen. Think about how you can go direct to customer using e-commerce as a channel. And so hopefully this helps kind of frame up some examples of companies that have done it well. So I think it's important to think about kind of what you should do next. I think these are some steps that we've put together to help you focus on kind of next steps that we think make sense, especially if you're a traditional offline only business, just starting to tap into and think about online. I think number one, make sure you're defining your digital customer. And this can be different than your offline customer. Think about those personas and what they value from an online business if you were to make one. Think about the full funnel. Think about the top, the middle, and the bottom, and see how you can optimize each of those steps to get customers to purchase. Talk to your kids. They probably are exposed to online way more than you might be. So talk to your kids, watch YouTube videos to learn about how to sell online. YouTube is a great medium for these types of webinars and detailed, and can go into more detail. Step 4, kind of create an online presence if you don't already have one. Create a social media page, a Facebook page, create an Instagram page. Start kind of moving your business online in even small ways. Put your business on third-party marketplaces, Uber Eats, again, Deliveroo, Souk, Noon, etc. I would say start to embrace these third-party marketplaces. As Afroze mentioned, if you don't just because you make a website or just because you have a website out there doesn't mean you've digitized your business. Again, you need to drive traffic to it. If you think only about the middle of the funnel or the bottom of the funnel, but no top of the funnel, unfortunately, your business probably won't do well. So think about the full funnel and how third-party technology partners can help you. And then lastly, see if there's a way to integrate your offline business with your online business so that customers can move back and forth between them and all of this becomes seamless. Because in the future, it won't just be about offline. It might not just be about online. There's going to be some sort of hybrid there depending on the industry that you're in. I would say lastly, and most importantly, I would say dream big, but start small. Again, focus on one or two areas and focus on them extensively. But most of all, I would say start. Start with even small things, but please get started. I think you know that the new world we've entered in today is vastly different from the world from 3 months ago. So it's important to start taking some of these learnings and putting them into practice. I think touching on some potential future webinar topics that we've brainstormed. Number 1 is around LinkedIn for business. Number 2 is around leveraging social media for your business, tools like Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook. 3 is expanding e-commerce beyond the GCC and beyond borders. And number 4 is really doing e-commerce industry deep dives. So these are some ideas that we've been playing around with together with the EPB team. But I recommend that you really try and think about what might be valuable to you. There'll be a feedback form that will be sent out shortly after this webinar, where there'll be a section where you can kind of vote or indicate preference on topics that you're interested in. So I think we'd love to hear potential topics from you as well, but also indicate to us if any of these would be helpful so that we can tailor additional content to the audience. I think that's it from me, but I think we'd be very happy to transition and hear questions from the audience.
Perfect, thank you, Naheed. So before we dive into the Q&A, we would like to thank both of you for this very informative session. We do understand that the information is constantly changing and the answers may not be self-evident. I can see that there are some questions already posted. I'm also going to encourage our listeners to please use the button on your screens to send us your questions. So with that, let us commence our Q&A session. Our first attendee is asking, e-commerce is a workable for consumer industries. How do you see the global trading, the industrial business, and supply chain businesses in the near future? Are these business activities applicable and able to be adapted with e-commerce?
That's a great question. And I think a lot of individuals who are in the B2B space are asking this question. One of the most important things to note is that all consumers, whether they're B2B or B2C customers, are transacting and doing business like B2C consumers. So they are expecting things on their mobile devices. They're expecting to be able to easily chat with somebody if they have a question. They are expecting PDF documents that they can look on their iPads, or they are on the move, and they are also looking at the world. They are the ones who are shopping online for their personal lives. And so the B2B manufacturing and trading businesses who figure out the digital experience early on will really have a leg up in the game. So I hope that helps. But even I know in the US, I have had a number of B2B clients who they try to follow a lot of the best practices from a user experience, UI, UX from the B2C side, because that's what really drives the revenue. Whether they're buying online or not, there are certain things that now customers are expecting to be able to get quotations online. They're expecting to be able to manage their accounts online and see documents. Financial services is a great example. Even within trade, there's a lot of there's trade finance. There's buying insurance for things. There's things like that. Companies are wanting to manage all that online. So there are a lot of things that if they're not already online, it's really going to be important to start looking towards bringing it online somehow.
Let me move to the next question. One of our attendees is asking, we see a jump in online sales due to the pandemic. Do you see this trend continuing post the pandemic?
Yeah, so I can take that one maybe. So I think even looking at our side as kind of on the Facebook side, I think a few trends we're seeing is cost of online advertising has come down significantly as big businesses potentially are preparing to kind of increase their cash flow, shore up some money in case of kind of global recessions. And so we're seeing some cuts in kind of advertising online. And so what that has really done is drive down the price of advertising globally. And so with those low advertising costs, we're seeing essentially new businesses who have never been online and on e-commerce swoop in with these new low advertising costs, advertise at very cheap advertising levels, and increase online sales during COVID. Now, I think what we'll probably start to see post COVID is as more companies shift online, just how you're thinking about it, the whole world is also thinking about it. And so we'll probably start to see gradual increases in online advertising again that help prevent and kind of cut off that top of the funnel. And so what that would do is it might very well price out some e-commerce players who are trying to use online advertising. And so what that will likely do is cut off some online sales from SMBs, people who can't afford to compete advertising with big business. And so I think post-COVID, online sales might not be as high as during COVID. It'll probably taper off and reach a baseline that is slightly higher than pre-COVID. So I would say it's going to be higher than pre-COVID, but not as high as during COVID as the world goes back and opens up and kind of lockdowns go away. But I think the important part here is the new baseline will be higher than pre-COVID. It'll be a step function jump up. So don't think that when the world goes back to work, everything will be back and your offline business might be doing just as well. People might be scared to go into the real world, to go into physical spaces, might go to the mall once a week instead of once every 2 days. And so I would see e-commerce continuing to be a trend post-COVID.
Great, thanks for that, Naheed. The next question is, are there Amazon stores or similar concepts for small businesses using private label in the Middle East region?
So from my understanding, I think Amazon stores as in a marketplace to list private label items. Is that the question?
Yes, I believe that's what they're asking.
Okay. I imagine you can list your private label items on Amazon. I mean, depending on the region, and there might be certain limitations to what type of private labels you can host on their site, but that is what Amazon should be able to do. As far as the type of product it might be, there might be other marketplaces for it. So if it's, let's say, fresh food items or canned good items, or even if it's not food items, or if it's other types of things, there are marketplaces like Etsy that allow you to list private label items, and they certainly have some rules around that as well. That you have to have been the person who manufactured it, and things like that. But there are a lot of marketplaces. I think really might just have to see which is the right one for your particular product. But that might just require a little bit of research. But I think there's at least in the U.S. and UK and Europe, I think, and Canada even, I've seen that there is a marketplace for almost everything online. You can, if you look hard enough, you'll probably be able to find it.
Great, thank you for that, Afroze. The next question is, what are some of the risks to consider in e-commerce?
Yeah, so I think one of the main risks is, again, I'm going to come back to the funnel because I love it, is when you think about e-commerce, many people just think about, hey, I want to launch a website, or they only think about kind of the middle or bottom of the funnel. And I think the risk is not thinking about the top of the funnel. If you were to probably launch a Shopify website, or convert your offline store catalog, maybe a fashion catalog, and move your fashion products online, create a website, and it launched tomorrow, you would probably get 5 people come to it per day. And so the question is, if this is a massive pivot in your strategy and you only get 5 people coming to your website per day, you might get very much discouraged. And so I think the next part to think about when you're thinking about this digital strategy from day one is think also about the top of the funnel. How am I going to get customers and drive traffic to my website? Don't just think about the website. Think about the marketing piece, because it's just as important as your website or your online shop. So I would say the biggest risk here is not thinking about the full funnel, not thinking about the marketing piece, and just thinking that digitizing your business is just about your landing page or your website, and not about driving traffic from various different channels to it.
Great, thanks for that answer, Naheed. I think this next one is also for you. Can you comment on the recent Facebook shop feature to enable selling online for existing businesses? Is this a primarily B2C, or do you think this could be adapted for B2B?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think your Facebook page is for, if your audience on your Facebook page is for, is also targeting B2B. So you might be a manufacturing company that sells wholesale products. And so in that case, as long as you have some sort of product catalog, the Facebook shop could work for you. And so it's really focused on companies that are primarily selling physical goods, or any type of item that could be cataloged. So maybe not so much service businesses where you need a quotation or any type of invoicing. I would say it's not so much focused for them, but any type of B2C or B2B where you're selling either physical goods or an item that can be cataloged. I think what you're going to start seeing is, and again, this is a great strategic move. And again, coming back to the funnel, if you think about Facebook and social media being very much at the top of the funnel, where they're driving awareness, marketing through advertising, etc., and the bottom of the funnel very much owned by companies like Amazon, very much owned by companies like Shopify, etc. This has essentially allowed companies like Facebook and products like Facebook Shop to really take ownership deeper into the funnel and own that customer buying and purchase step as well. And so I think it's going to be great for small businesses to be able to have their awareness, the social media presence, and the purchase, as well as post-purchase customer care, all within the scope of social media. But it also means that you should start thinking about social media, if you haven't already, in a serious way, because it's not going to be important just for marketing, but also the actual purchase intent and post-purchase behavior.
Thank you, Naheed. I think with the time, we'll just take one last question. With the drastic shift to e-commerce, what cross-border challenges might come up?
I think from a cross-border perspective, it really depends on the type of item it is. Certainly from a larger manufacturing or B2B space, a lot of the things that come up is being able to finance it, or to be able to protect the order when it is being shipped from one country to another. I think there are a lot of logistical challenges that come with that. As if you have not forayed into that space, the larger the item, the bigger the risk, and that's very obvious. But I think there are definitely a lot of just simple trade, export trade rules, regulations, and processes that would need to be researched before entering that market. But that's I think one of the biggest things to think through. Other marketplaces, other thing with digital is that there's no geographic boundaries on people being able to find your stuff. If you've displayed it properly or merchandised it properly online, people can find your items. So it's more a matter of fulfilling the order. I think that is a bigger challenge when it's outside or over across borders. Naheed, is there anything you want to add to that?
I can jump in on that as well. I think anybody in logistics, import-export knows that price of shipping has gone up extremely, especially if you're buying products from China, for example. Cost of flight, kind of air shipping has gone up. Cost of ocean shipping has gone up. Delivery times have kind of, in some cases, doubled. So I think it's going to affecting supply chains and your ability to buy inventory, and your cash is obviously stuck in inventory much longer. I think the other kind of challenges with cross-border is that, and this is not just COVID, this is a larger trend, is companies from China, because many of the world's products are being manufactured there. Just how I mentioned that Heinz is going direct to customer, Del Monte is going direct to customer, Lindt is going direct to customer. Think about the larger risk here, where China's, again, is still manufacturing the world's products, and what is stopping them from going direct to customer? What is stopping them from creating great e-commerce stores? Those minimalist watches are probably manufactured in China. What stops them from building that exact same website for UAE, for Europe, for the US, for Africa? Because all of those watches are probably built and manufactured in China. And so I would think about this larger trend and that kind of risk of us being massively disrupted by the manufacturing industry in China.
Perfect. Thank you guys for that. Unfortunately, we need to end our Q&A session here. There are some questions left unanswered, and we will try our best to address them through future webinars. I would like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to both of the panelists for their insights and expertise.